Good evening, Dr. Mitch and James. I hope all is well. Tonight I'm presenting SureSync 3, and our topic was threat model. Basically, the threat model is a structured process which information technology professionals can identify potential threats and vulnerabilities. Based upon software vulnerabilities, we denoted based upon my research that malware has exploited software vulnerabilities grew 151% since the second quarter in 2018. Cybersecurity crimes damages cost estimates have reached $6 trillion annually, or expectation by 2021. Another article I found talked about the cost of cybersecurity spent is forecasted to exceed $124 billion worldwide, and it is continuously rising. Security is expensive, and many security teams are asking for more money to decrease the risk of threat to stay prepared. And with that statement, it kind of answers the first question. Many people say that threat monitoring is exponentially expensive. That is probably true based upon your networking infrastructure. However, people or information professionals are asking for that financing to allow them to protect their networks. When we look at the threat monitoring and the scope of it, it does a lot of different things. Threat monitoring can be applied to a wide range, including software, applications, systems, networks, distribution systems, things, Internet of Things, business processes. The list goes on. In addition to that, you're looking to describe the model that work best for your company. You're looking for that detailed information as far as what is in your network. Understanding that goes to the baseline of having that inventory and knowing what can be pulled up if there is a vulnerability out there that you need to mitigate. So if you don't know what you have, how can you protect it as a part of that threat model and as a part of your scope. Another part that is probably essential to that is your software development lifecycle. Understanding the process as a development to security and operation as a part of that ongoing support. And I'm going to go in a little bit more deeper in the next couple of slides about the DevSecOps. So the threat model scope does a lot of different things, and these are some kind of examples. The threat model produces measurable security. So basically, when we talked about SQL interjections, I believe I think two for SureSync. It is one of the oldest attacks that is still being used today. Basically, the statement controls the database in which web applications within 8% of websites and web applications have SQL injections vulnerabilities. This is something that is probably an ongoing thing that's out there, but however, understanding the model and constantly trying to mitigate those vulnerabilities before they become exploited, it's very important. Something that's almost you can't get around without doing. Another way to approach it is compliance. Basically, in a heavy regulated industry, compliance is essential. I work with a power company. If we don't meet the compliance, you will get fined, and that has happened. So you have to meet a certain standard of cybersecurity from pretty much on the initial. However, that is just the baseline. So from anything above that really increases or decreases your risk of threat. Another threat model goes to the development, security, and operation. One common objective with this threat model it is that it takes time to do it right. You just can't jump into it. So this is the analogy that was given: is if you spend 20% of your time identifying 70-80% of the flaws, that could be a good balance as a part of your development and security operations, because you are now mitigating your risk as a part of your overall threat model. I added this because I felt that risk management was also a part of that. Understanding and identifying your risks based upon the 5 basic steps I've identified. Identify the risk, you announce your risk, evaluate your risk, your threat of risk, and then you monitor and review. Understanding that will determine what type of threat model that you could possibly use and prioritize what is your most highest risk down to your most smallest risk. There's always going to be some type of gap, but mitigating the gap in the process you use to determine how to close that gap is essential. So now just the line between threat modeling and the risk management. So this calculated risk says risk equals probability times impact. So if you understand the risk, and then you say, well, the probability is going to be high, and then you determine what is the impact. So basically, it probably should say impact probability equals risk. So understanding the probability and taking into account the impact will determine how much risk you're willing to take. And with that, moving into understanding the vulnerability is basically that gap that you're trying to determine how do we mitigate that gap. So understanding those two together is kind of building your threat model of understanding that overall process. So in summary, answering the questions, people say that the threat modeling is expensive, but does the expense upfrontly outweigh the long-term cost? If you mitigate the risk, or you're forward thinking on how you could approach a risk if it comes up versus saying I'm not going to do anything, I don't think that's going to outweigh the overall expense. So ideally, it is advantageous to invest into some type of threat model to understand with your overall risk management, where your risks you're willing to take, and basically aligning those two will over time decrease your risk. And I think the threat model is something that you can't overlook. You actually do need that as a part of your process. So that is my presentation. Here are my references. I'm sorry that they're so small. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. And I guess I'll see you in the discussions during the week, and I'll see you hopefully for a Sure Sync 4. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much.